Hey everybody, it's Aubrey and I have a what's for dinner video for you today. I have 4 meals that I've made over the past few weeks that I wanted to share with you. 2 of them, the first 2, are keto meals and the other 2 are not. But I am here to share them with you, so stick around and see what I made for my family. Okay, so the first meal I'm sharing is creamy garlic mushroom chicken. I'm going to start by heating up some olive oil and some butter in a pan. And once it has all melted down, I'm going to add 4 chicken breasts to the pan. I am going to season the chicken breast with salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and I believe basil, or is it oregano? I don't know. I'm going to show it up on the screen in just a second. And once the chicken has finished cooking, I'm just going to remove it to a plate and let it rest until I'm ready to add it back in. Now I'm adding some sliced mushrooms to the grease that was left in the bottom of the pan, and I am going to cook those up for just a little bit. And once they have already started cooking, then I'm going to add some minced onions to the pan to cook with the mushrooms. Once the mushrooms are cooked and the onions are softened and almost translucent, I'm going to add a couple spoonfuls of minced garlic to the pan. You don't want to add this too early because if the garlic cooks too long, it can burn and become very bitter, and that's not a good taste to have. Then I'm just going to season it up with some salt and some pepper. And I'm going to add about a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I'm going to also add some heavy cream. Now I decided to use the Silk heavy cream instead of regular heavy cream because it has a lot less carbs in it. And I was trying to obviously make a low carb meal, a keto meal. And even though heavy whipping cream is definitely safe to use in a keto lifestyle, it still has carbs in it. There's 1 carb per tablespoon, and I think I added like 2 cups of heavy cream. So that is a ton of carbs. So anyway, that is why I use the Silk instead. Now I am making some bacon green beans. I'm just taking some cut up bacon and putting it in the pan. I like to pull the bacon apart because if I add it to the pan, I just find it difficult trying to break up the pieces in the pan. So yes, it's annoying, but at least I know the bacon is getting cooked. So anyway, I broke the bacon up and I'm just gonna cook it for a little bit. Now I'm adding the chicken back to the mushroom and onion garlic mixture. It has come to a nice sauce. I also added the chicken juice that, came off the plate. And it just added a lot of flavor to this sauce. Now, if you weren't doing keto and you wanted to make, add pasta to this, you could totally do that. Now that the bacon has cooked and some of the fat has started to render off the bacon, I'm just going to add some fresh green beans to the pan, and I am just going to stir that together. So I'm adding some salt and some pepper to the pan, and I'm just letting it cook for a little bit, and then I add a lid to let it steam up. And this is how my plate looked when everything was done cooking. This was a very delicious meal. The next meal I'm making is some chicken thighs in the air fryer and some bacon Brussels sprouts. So what I'm doing first is I'm getting started by cleaning up my Brussels sprouts. I cut off the ends and take off the dead leaves. Then I cut them in half. Sometimes, depending on their size, I'll cut them in quarters. Sometimes I'll slice them so that they're flat. But this night I was just trying to be easy, so I believe I just cut them in half. They were pretty small, so it was fine. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever worked with Brussels sprouts before, but sometimes they're just kind of gross. So I always check the insides to make sure that they're clean and there's nothing on them. And if I do find something, I just cut it off because not the whole Brussels sprout is, affected by just that one spot. Then I'm going to take some bacon and I'm just going to cut it up. I like to try and keep the bacon in the refrigerator until the last minute possible. It's just easier to cut up that way. I just cut up the bacon into slices and then I put it into a large pan and heat it, cook it almost until it's done. And then I remove the bacon to a bowl and leave the bacon fat in the pan to cook the Brussels sprouts in the fat. Now I'm going to add some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, as well as some red pepper flakes to taste, and just stir it up and continue cooking the Brussels sprouts. So here I am seasoning my chicken thighs. I'm just adding a little bit of olive oil and then some salt and pepper, as well as some garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of paprika to some of them. The paprika made it taste really good, and I highly recommend adding that. I don't really cook a lot with that, but I'm starting to add it to my chicken and stuff, and it adds a good smoky flavor. Then here I'm just adding my chicken thighs to my air fryer basket. I was able to fit all of them in the basket. I decided to spray my basket with some olive oil spray. I usually don't do that, but I wanted to make sure that the chicken didn't stick. So now my Brussels sprouts are basically done. I'm going to stir them up. This pan is horrible for burning a little bit, but that's okay. I only use it when I'm cooking something where I need a really large pan. I'm adding the bacon back in and stirring it all together. Then I'm going to take it off the heat and just let it rest until the chicken is done. This is what my plate looks like, and it was so good. The chicken turned out so great. Now I'm making pulled pork sandwiches and macaroni salad. I start out by cooking a butt roast in the crock pot. I season it with salt, pepper, and some butt rub seasoning in the crock pot for about 10 hours on low, and it just turns out perfectly. Now I'm making the macaroni salad. So I just boiled some water and added about 2 3/4 cups of macaroni. I just wanted to finish up what was left in the box. And I'm glad I did because it made a lot of salad and I was able to eat on that for lunch throughout the week. Now I'm adding some spoonfuls of mayonnaise to the drained and cooled macaroni, and then I'm going to add some sliced olives as well as some cut up eggs and a little bit of pepper. I don't add salt because the mayonnaise and the eggs are already kind of salty, as you know, naturally, so as well as the olives, so I don't really want to add too much salt. Once everything is mixed together, I'm just going to let it sit in the refrigerator for about 4 to 5 hours, just so it's all like melded together and it becomes this beautiful, tasty macaroni salad. It was so good. Now the pulled pork is done and it is time to pull it apart, and it really does just fall apart so easily. I don't like all that added fat, so I pull the meat out and put it in a strainer and start pulling the meat apart. That way I am not just like pulling the meat apart in the fat where it just gets all greasy. I do not mix in barbecue sauce with my meat. I prefer to top my pulled pork with barbecue sauce. And that's just the way that I prefer it. My husband prefers it mixed in, but you know, whatever. And this is what my plate looked like. I just steamed up some broccoli and had that with the macaroni salad. This was such a great meal. The last meal I'm sharing on this video is chicken Parmesan. So what I'm doing is I have already sliced some chicken breasts in half so that they're thinner, and I'm making my breading mixture. So I'm just adding some Italian breadcrumbs with some garlic powder, onion powder, as well as some salt and pepper and some grated Parmesan cheese, and mix that up. Then I'm going to take 2 eggs in another bowl and whisk those up so that I can bread my chicken with it. How I do my chicken is I take the chicken breast, I dunk it in the egg mixture, and then I cover it with the breadcrumb mixture, making sure that it's really on the chicken. And then I put it into a pan that has some heated olive oil in it. And I cook it until it's crispy on both sides, but I'm not too concerned if it's done on the inside, just because I know I'm going to be baking it for at least 20 minutes after the fact. Once the chicken is cooked on both sides, I remove it to a foil-lined baking pan, and then I am just going to let it rest until all the chicken that I'm cooking for the meal is done cooking. And once that is done, I am going to add some marinara sauce on top. You can use spaghetti sauce or whatever kind of sauce you like, but that's what I had in my pantry, so that's what I'm using. And then I'm just going to top it with some shredded mozzarella cheese and put it in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes, just until the cheese is nice and bubbly. And sometimes I even broil it just to give that cheese just a little bit more color. And to go with the chicken Parmesan, I boiled up some spaghetti noodles and drained them, then added what was left of the marinara sauce to the pot and just had some easy spaghetti. And then we had some garlic knots from Aldi that were in the freezer, so I cooked those on the pan, and yeah, it was so good. This is my plate. It was so much food, but it was so good and been a long time since I had made it. Thank you for watching this What's for Dinner video. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to my YouTube family. I would so love to have you here. I make videos 2 to 3 times a week, and if you want to check it out, I'll be back tomorrow with another What's for Dinner video. Bye!